Hey, welcome back. We're actually checking out in about 2 hours from now, so I've got a bit of free time to sort of summarize, evaluate the whole trip. Let's start with Korean Air. When we flew in on Korean Air, we flew in on business class, on Prestige. They call it the Prestige class. I'm used to business class. It's the same. It's just a naming convention. So this is my evaluation. The plane that we took was an old plane. It's KE644 and it departs from Singapore at 10:30 p.m. The reason why I took that flight was because we wanted to arrive early. It landed technically at 5:30 a.m. Seoul time. That allowed us free passage to immigration, to baggage claim. Not a lot of flights landing at that hour. But however, they use an old plane for that flight. So the 1030 KE644 is an older version. It's the 777-300, not the ER. So there's another one which is the 777-300 ER, extended range. We're going to be using that plane when we go back. However, the 777-300 is an old plane. You can feel its age. And because it's an old plane, a lot of the a lot of the things you see around you, you can see its age. The seats actually fully recline, so I don't have complaints about the recline. But it's not as fully reclined as the Singapore Airlines seat. So I think maybe it's also because it's an older version of business class. So I think that's the reason. And because of that, because the seats are old, there's not much storage spaces. There was one on the side, and you can basically just put in one water bottle, the one that they provided, the smaller one, and then you can put in possibly your mobile phone. That's basically it. So my son and I struggled with, because he got, he's got headphones, I've got my mobile phone, we've got water bottles, we've got quite a number of things. And when we fly Singapore Airlines, there was a lot of storage places in business class, due to the seat configuration or the design of the seat. Korean Air, this one, based on the 232 configuration, not so much. So we struggle with storage. So I tend to put everything back into my luggage. So that was a struggle. Other than that, the monitor is old. You can see it. It's kind of like you went back into the 90s. The seat controls felt like an old massage chair. But again, to be fair, it's an old plane, right? An older plane. Movies are okay. I slept most of the time anyway, so I was not really intending to watch any movies. So I just went through it, and it was alright. The Korean movies are good, but I do know people who are into movies. They would prefer, better selection of movies. For me, doesn't matter. Most of the time I fall asleep. Service was good. They paid attention, they served on time. The food presentation was good. The food selection was alright. So for me, service was alright. The food was okay. Actually, the food was not too bad. The food was quite good. Breakfast was served at an unholy hour of 3:30 in the morning. But when you take red-eye flights, this is normal. So the croissants were crunchy, they were soft. Yeah. So on overall, I think if I summarize everything, number one, it's an old plane. Number two, although the seats fully recline, there's no privacy. Number three, there's not much storage space within the seating area. Number four, the monitor is old. Number five, the movies are okay, but I slept most of the time. Number six, service was good. Number seven, the food was slightly above average. That's Korean Air, Singapore to Seoul, KE644, departing Singapore 10:30 p.m. and arriving in Seoul at 5:30 a.m. Would I recommend you take this flight? If you can live with an old plane and everything that I just mentioned, yes. Because when you land to an airport that's empty. So you don't have those long queues, at immigration. So I would recommend it. But if you want a newer plane, get the 1:30 a.m. flight. Singapore to Seoul. If I'm not mistaken, it's KE647. If the price of the 10:30 p.m. flight and the 1:30 a.m. flight the next day is the same price, I would recommend, and you're flying business class, I would recommend you take the 1:30 a.m. because that has the new seat configuration. And I'll show you what that looks like because I'll be taking that plane back, and that's the 777-300ER. So I'll be taking that plane back. I'll show you what the business class looks like. So, but I don't know, I can't say what you will encounter because that plane lands in Seoul at 8:30 a.m. You might have a long queue at immigration. I don't know, right? But for the plane experience, given a choice, the newer plane is always nicer. So the 1:30 KE647 would probably be my choice. Let's review the hotel now. So I decided we're not going to do Airbnb. We're going to stay in a proper hotel. Number one reason is because I am Marriott Platinum. So due to work, I travel quite a bit, and my membership level is Platinum. So I get a lot of privileges in Marriott hotels. I chose this hotel, and it's the 4 Points by Sheraton Seoul Station. The main reason, number one, is I don't do Airbnbs. Is because I don't trust, accommodations by individuals. At the Marriott, the 4 Point Sheraton, if something goes wrong, I know who to go to. They've got a full organization backing every brand, every Marriott brand. So I'm more comfortable with that. I think that is something you learn when you travel for work all over the place. So with family, that is very important to me. When things go wrong, and things do go wrong, you have a helpline, you have a contact person. Airbnbs, for me, some is very good, some is very iffy. I don't want to take that risk. So I decided we'll do hotel. And 4 Points by Sheraton in Seoul Station makes a lot of sense. Now, like I said, I've been here a couple of times for work, and I normally stay at the COEX area, the Intercontinental Hotel. This is the first time I'm in this area, but there's a few reasons why this area or this hotel is the one I decided on. Number one, it's very close to a lot of the tourist places. So Myeongdong is only 2 stops away, right? And 5 minutes down, basement, go through, take line 4, 2 stops away, you're in Myeongdong. Namdaemun, 1 stop away. So you've got a lot of lines here. Very important is also the Airport Express. So from Incheon, when we take the Airport Express, we go in straight into Seoul Station. And from Seoul Station, we walk through a covered walkway from the train itself, covered all the way to the hotel. So if it rains, no problem, you are sheltered. Seoul Station gives easy access to everywhere. So when we were moving around, we didn't have to change much. When we moved around, places to places that we wanted to visit, we wanted to go to, it was easy from Seoul Station because it's kind of like the central station. If we wanted to go to Busan, it's also from this station, so you can take the train from Seoul Station to Busan. So that's the advantage of geographically being where we decided, 4 Points by Sheraton at the Seoul Station. So you may ask, how's the hotel? Now, it's not a full-fledged Sheraton. It's kind of like the budget version of Sheraton. I read the reviews and it didn't come up good. But somehow, it worked out for me, for my family. It was good. It was, not Sheraton standard, but it was good enough. And like I said, I'm a Marriott Platinum member. I stay at the Westins, at the JW Marriotts, I stay at the Sheratons. So the only time I've stayed at 4 Points was, I remember, 3 times, including this one. One was in Sydney, so I stayed at 4 Points in Sydney. I stayed at another 4 Point here in Seoul, near the Gangnam area, and then this one. So this 4 Points, my evaluation is, the reviews I read really does not give it justice. I would give this hotel a 4.5 out of 5. And why do I rate it 4.5 out of 5? Couple of reasons that I look for as a frequent traveler. Number one, geography or geographics. It's near everywhere, accessible. Food around the hotel is easy to get. Number two, access. So as I mentioned, from the train station to the hotel, it's covered all the way, right? So you don't have to worry about the weather. Snowing, raining, doesn't matter. You just walk through the covered walkway straight into the basement, and then you are in the hotel. Number three, the rooms are small, but they're cozy. So, I got 2 rooms. The kids are in one room. My wife and me are in the other room. So it's a much smaller room, but it's cozy. It's got a fridge. It's got a double bed. It has got a table where I can sit down and record this and have my meals, if I'm buying from a convenience store. The toilets are not that big, but it has a shower. It has hot water running. The heater is good. But the best part is I can actually open the window. Right? So if it feels too warm, too stuffy, I can sort of push the window slightly ajar and boof, cold air comes in and circulates the room. And last but not least, I read on reviews that the lifts are slow. It's not. The lifts are very fast, actually. I've been to hotels that the lifts are much slower. So the lifts are not an issue. They have got 3 working lifts. The rooms were also clean on time, so housekeeping was always punctual. We ran into a situation where the conditioner, we ran out of conditioner from the refill bottle. My wife called, and housekeeping came within 10 minutes and gave us a new bottle of conditioner. They cleaned the bed. I mean, our room was a mess. Like I said, we had a lot of luggage. We had, we have kids, we have me, we have my wife, so our room was a mess. But when housekeeping came, they actually cleaned it up for us. So, which I find very commendable. So, good job, housekeeping. Thank you so much for keeping us comfortable. And the last part was when I was reading the review, they said that, part of the review, some of them said that the staff don't speak English. I never encountered that. When I checked in at the reception, they gave me my room at 10:30 a.m. I requested for an 11 a.m. check-in, and I actually got a room at 10:30 a.m. Both rooms at 10:30 a.m. So that was very commendable. 4 points by Sheraton Seoul Station. It's not easy to get that, knowing it was peak season. So, hats off to 4 points by Sheraton Seoul Station that they got us a room for early check-in as early as 10:30 a.m. If you recall, I arrived, I was in the Airport Express train at 7:30 a.m. So when we arrived, they said the room will be ready by 10:30. We went for breakfast. We, took a slow walk. We came back. Voila, it's there. 10 out of 10 for the staff. They spoke English. I was attended to by a nice lady named Grace. And we got our room. They don't have a lounge. I got drinks voucher, which I never used. But yeah, I hope my review gives 4 points by Sheraton justice, because everything that I read, raised alarm bells for me. But I said, let's just go and bite the bullet. I'm the one who do not encounter these issues. Is it my membership? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, maybe my expectations are low. I don't know. But I do know I'm not in a full-fledged Sheraton. I'm at a budget version of Sheraton. But they have everything that I need. So, good job, 4 Point Sheraton, and thank you. The kids were very comfortable while we were here in Seoul. Good job.